Welcome to Thrive, the podcast. Welcome to Thrive, the podcast, where I'll be talking with guests who've created extraordinary results in business and life through listening to and following through on their intuition in the face of logic, reason, and rationale, to demonstrate why your inner navigation is the most important advisor you'll ever meet. No matter what you've been through, faced, feared, or run from, Thrive is here to uplift you and give you the courage and fortitude to face your future, even when you don't feel fearless. I'm your host, Elizabeth Adams. Throughout my 20s and some of my 30s, I operated from a place of workaholism, believing that when I reached success, all would be well in my world. Coming home to myself was a journey that began with a series of synchronicities that led me to learning how to tap my intuition and ultimately gave me the tools to live a far more rewarding life. Since then, I've been helping my clients to thrive. No matter what you're up against, grief, depression, unfavorable circumstances of any kind are only ever a starting point on the way to realizing the life you were born to live. The power really is within you, and my intention with this podcast is to enable you to unlock it. I started this podcast almost 6 months ago. I was so connected to the thrill, the enjoyment, the pleasure of the conversations. It unfolded very effortlessly. It's always that when we're creating, we can lose the wind underneath our wings. We lose sight of the benefit of a certain thing. And this is true of every aspect of our life. There's always those moments when we just don't feel like it, right? In those moments when we don't feel like it anymore, we don't want to go to the gym anymore, or we don't want to eat healthy anymore, or, there's always that moment. It's not about, allowing that to rule us. It's not about judging ourselves for having those moments. It's really just about acknowledging those moments and then getting up and taking action anyway. However, a couple of weeks ago, I was having one of those moments. I was questioning the validity of my podcast. This particular day, I left the house and went about my business. And when I came home, there was an email. And the email was from some type of PR person saying, I have this guest. Would you be interested in having them on your podcast? And when I saw the name in the email, it was such a thrill. It was such an affirmation. It was such a confirmation of the initial creative energy that birthed this podcast in the first place. And so it's with utter delight. It's with a complete thrill. It's with my utmost astonishment that I am in conversation on this week's podcast episode with none other than Christopher Duncan. Now, if you don't know who Christopher is, he's the founder of the Conscious Education Company, and he has blended the modality of several teachers over the years, the work of which helped him overcome deep personal tragedy, business failure, and to be one of the first to bring this modality of work online and make it accessible on the internet to everyone, everywhere. So without further ado, I want to share this wonderful conversation with you. Also, I want to invite you into experience. And what I mean by that is this. Bruce Lipton said it recently on a podcast. He was speaking about environment. He was speaking about epigenetics. He was speaking about how our genes influence the course of our lives. But what he said is that it's not actually our genes. Our genes are just a conductor. What they really respond to is environment. And in the course of our everyday life, we don't always have a conducive environment that enables us to stay connected to the end result, stay connected to the vision of what we're going for in life. And this is where it's so easy to give up, where we face a setback, we face difficulty, we think there's something wrong with us, and then we give up. And the invitation here is to get into the environments with people who can support you on your journey. Now, Chris offers group incubators to this effect, as do I, of a different type, but I also offer one-to-one. And I know that isn't something that Chris Duncan offers. However, if you would love to have the support, the connection, the reflection, I can attest to the power of a one-to-one incubator and the one-to-one experience through time of being in relationship with somebody who hears you, witnesses you, challenges you in all the best ways. So you know where to go if you want more info on that. It's really about connect with me. Check out the show notes where you can find my contact info, reach out, send me a message. We start a conversation and we see what's aligned between us. Also, I have some links for Chris in the show notes where you can find out more about the work he does and the work he's offering in the world. A significant part of our conversation together focused on team. And the reason I brought that to the table with Chris is because back in the early 2000s, I was running a company delivering well-being services to Bank of New York, Nielsen, and WBR. The thing that we uncovered and that my team and I noticed the most and that our clients saw is the power of being witnessed and being heard at work, even in a context that wasn't directly about their role or about their level of responsibility. People were holding their whole lives, and when we gave them space to come into connection, it shifted and lightened their load. And it's still an element that I'm really big on today. I love working with groups of people because I know the impact it can have when we feel connected, when we feel connected to one another, when we feel connected to the vision and the end result of what it is we're collectively creating together. And so this is another aspect of working with me. If you have a team, if you're looking for a way to create greater cohesion without, a whole load of aggravation or difficulties, definitely reach out and let's talk about it, because I have some ways of working that are really, really powerful. So enjoy this episode, and please subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. And yeah, let's get started.
I'm so sorry you had to, put up with William. I mean, that's horrendous,
When I came and saw you, I was like, oh my God, this guy's actually warm and connected into relationships. Like,
It's
wow.
funny.
Different.
I was speaking with Will just yesterday. We're buying a safari game reserve.
We're doing it together.
We've raised like 50 million, and we're buying this thing. It's really cool.
Wow.
It's really it's exciting.
Yeah, that's
super
exciting. Congratulations.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he is. And the work is extraordinary. And my life wouldn't be what it is if I hadn't trained in it.
Oh, brilliant. Same. Yeah.
So firstly, congratulations. I hear you're expecting your first baby. So you're creating and you're expecting your first baby. It's all going on for you. So let me start at the beginning. Chris, welcome to the podcast. It's incredible. I'm so excited to have you here. You're the founder of Conscious Education Company. You are an incredibly successful entrepreneur. I think you're on your fourth or fifth business. You've just launched a publishing company. You've created businesses hitting 1 million. You did that one very workaholic. That was your workaholic model. Then you went on to create a model that, was a little bit more enjoyable. and you reached the 4.5 million mark, and then tragedy struck and you lost your business partner. And from what I've heard through watching some of your content, that really threw you into chaos because
Mm.
also your business partner was responsible for so many of the systems and the structure that you didn't know because you weren't behind the scenes. You were more of the upfront man in the business. When we get derailed by grief, loss, shock, I meet so many people and I've been through it myself. Something happens, it just takes us out. That's it.
Mm.
But you came back and then within I think a short period of time, you built the company back and then lost it all again.
It's unfortunately true.
Yeah. How did you get through those moments? Because those moments are so tough.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I had an amazing wife by my side, which helped a lot. Um, it was really tough. There was a lot that went wrong. I ended up millions of dollars in debt, and then, and I was just in the problem structure. That was the whole thing. I wasn't allowed to be successful. I wasn't allowed to fail. And you know, so I mean, I got through it with some luck, I guess, and finding the right people, and it actually turned out to be the catalyst for you know everything that came after that. So it turned out to be really well. There was this one moment actually, and I was sitting on the side of a lake, um, Lake Tahoe, in the States where we were living, and I'd done the second loss in 6 months. I'd gone, $4.5 million. Friend dies, everything falls apart. I'm not going to let this fail. Built it back to 2 million, then bang, lost all of that. Ended up in a worse position, and I was sitting there, and I bought myself a six pack of beers actually, and I was just sitting by the lake, like, and I started laughing, um, because I realized that it could never get worse than this,
Mhm.
lost your best friend. And I started laughing. I was like, well, this is it. So now at least I know what the worst is. And I'm like, it's not so bad, It's like, and I teach this process called the double bubble to allow people to experience this moment where you experience the worst case and it's kind of freeing. You go, okay, well,
Mm.
if this happens again, I'm still, start again. Got, I could go get a job and I can feed myself. It's not that bad. Whereas
Mm.
before, the thought of all of that happening would have been, blasphemy. So that was a really important moment just to go, okay,
Mm. Mm.
let's
From
go.
what I from what I understand as well, Colette was pivotal in helping you start the rebuild. So I think this is an important point to
Yeah.
make. You didn't do it alone. You were
No.
in you were in connection with somebody who was willing to support you on your journey of recovery, on your journey of, dare I say the word, healing from
Yeah.
that tragic event, right? And there's something to be said for, walking that path with people. I think in my experience, I've tried to go it alone many times. I've tried to build it
Mm.
alone, and you can never create anything alone. It just doesn't happen when we're alone. But the thing that struck me about you, if I may say, is that you've now built several successful companies, multiple millions. You're onto a publishing company. You've done it with a team. And I think the thing is, there's something about your ability and capability to create relationship that's enabled you to hold the structure. Because it's not just about the delivery to the client or to the clients, it's also about the back end, what no one sees in a business, and how you build your structure for that, because it's what holds everything when you're delivering to the clients.
Yeah.
So how have you married those two components?
Well, yeah, yeah, thanks. My team, I've got about 12 staff that have were with me since 2000 and 15, and they're still in the team. We have a staff of around about 75 at the moment, and that's only because we sold a company last year, and so about 50 people went with that business. And so we've had people in our company for over a decade, the same people, and they helped me through a lot of things. So yeah, before I jump into that, Colette's amazing, Colette Stryker, and what she brought to the world. She was the first one who ever introduced me to the word superconscious, and to teach the brain to let go of its limitations. And what she and her son Val have created is amazing. And their addition to Dr. Gary Flint's work it's just mind-boggling. Like, she came to Tahoe and spent 2 weeks with me just working. We just worked on it, and I helped her in her business, and she helped me with this, and it was a beautiful collaboration. We talked multiple times a week for about 5 years, just
Mm-hmm.
collaborating together. I was helping her in business, and she was helping me learn this stuff, and it was awesome. So team's been massive. So the back to the team in my business, I think that the not many people need to be the front person or the person holding the space. And so I don't do timesheets with anyone. We don't have a single timesheet. We hold outcomes, and they commit to meeting certain outcomes. And if they don't, we have conversations about how we do that. We pay profit share so that they, feel that they are rewarded when the company does well. And, we do our absolute best. We do birthday gifts, anniversary gifts. We send them, if they've got a loved one that's unwell, we send them some healthy juices. And we literally put so much effort into making our work environment and conscious education a place where it's, they all say it's a family.
Mm-hmm.
We had someone leave about, it was 3 or 4 months ago, and this person decided to reach out to some of our people and try to poach them. And these people just told me what was happening and said, hey, we're never leaving because this is our family, even though the other offer was more money. And so no one gets to a big end result by themselves. It's just, you just don't get there. You have a team around you. And I was talking, I have a program called Super Conscious Entrepreneur, and I was talking to them, and I said, it was when I had both companies, and I said, every single week there are 5,000 hours minimum that get applied to my vision, you know, because it's 5,000 hours, because it's 130 odd people at that time times 40 hours, plus me, plus my wife, plus my partners. So it's 5,000 hours every week. And so I was just sort of helping people understand, like, I got 5,000 hours on my end result, and that's what's happening. Whereas someone else might have, you know, 50 hours because they're working full time. Like, you just look at the man. And so one of the biggest skills, and so I guess I love this statement to kind of wrap it up to anyone listening, is first you must think what, not how, right? Don't get stuck in the process, right? As Fritz and William and you probably all have told people, is think what, not how, but then not how, but who. If you
Yeah.
really want to create, think what, not how, but then not how, but who has the how. And so I think of myself like the publishing company, right?
Yeah.
Is I'm not a publisher. I've written some books that have sold well, but I'm just holding the end result of a publishing company that makes a big difference. It's the best. That's the best value for money, happy customer. And then I'm asking, okay, well, I don't need to know the how, because there's who's going to be
Mm-hmm.
involved in that. And if I can find a good marketer and a salesperson and a good editor and a publisher and this, and I can find all those people, and they can all collaborate and work together on one end result, you know, this
Yeah.
magic happens. Yeah.
Has it always been that way for you, that you were so strong on relationships and building connection? Like, what inspired that for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I mean, obviously, I learned it. My upbringing was all based around sport, so sport was everything for me, and I ended up playing representative sport for a lot of different sports, but the one that really stuck out for me was basketball. And I spent, and what you have to do in basketball is you have to have everyone playing together. And I
Mm,
was never the most athletic. I was never the fastest, not even close. but I would always get picked into teams, and because when I was on the floor, everyone else played better. And my it's weird because they measure all these things in sports. What's your vertical jump? What's your 40-yard dash? What's your this? What's your that? But there's an intangible about someone that knows how to get the best out of others.
Yeah.
And that was something that I recognized at an early age, was that everyone on the floor wants to shoot the ball. That's what they all want to do. And so that role's already taken.
Mm.
And so I was playing under 16s, under 18 reps, under 23 reps in the men's teams, and they would have me come and play because having me there organized it. And I don't know where that genius came from, but at some point I made a decision, and I've never been asked that question before. So I just remember having this amazing coach, and he passed away a couple of years ago. His name's Kenny McFadden, and he was he was when I finally got to play with him, he was retired and made amazing basketball, but he was not athletic anymore. But he just knew, and I kind of would watch him play with guys that could still dunk, and he'd always win just because he knew how to make the game work. And that really just, I guess, that imprinted in my head, is like he kept on winning. Like I was faster than him, taller than him. Like, how is it that he makes them win? So I think it was just a question of wanting to be the best I could be, and going, how do I get all these other people, to work together? And then applying that, I guess, to my business, right? Like everyone has a responsibility, everyone has a metric, everyone must be bought in on the end result, you know.
Yeah, that's a really good point because you talk actually quite a lot about the difference between working in your business as an employee and creating
mm,
your business. Like a real business is something that operates without you. Now, for a
Correct.
business to operate without you, you have to know how to work with people. You have to know how to collaborate and how to hear them,
Yeah.
how to let them run their own genius on an end
Yeah.
result and be connected to that end result. And I see
Yeah.
this is the biggest issue with companies is they don't even bring their people into their end result. There's no vision, there's no unity. And
Yeah.
so you can't work together on something and feel part of it when most people there are just there to deliver their piece, their bit,
Right.
wherever they fit in. So
Right.
how did you bring that into your company? Or
We have
maybe,
a meet. Hmm?
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
We have I know for sure that we're all creative energy, and we take the path of least resistance. Like I see it in sales, I see it in business, I see it everywhere. Like it's for sure that is a fundamental principle. And then I know what creates a path of least resistance is structure. And so every single Monday, I get people into our end result. We know what we're creating, we know why we're doing it, and everyone knows how their role fits into that. And everyone gets rewarded on the successful completion of it. And so it becomes a self coaching or a self monitoring culture, whereas it's not accepted uh, that if you don't have anything to do, that you don't reach out and say, "Hey, I've got a spare few hours." It's not accepted, and it's weird. Because it's not accepted. It's either we got structure. It's like, all right, you either get your outcome done or you ask for help. So we have these rules and these structures, so everyone's really clear. And a lot of people don't last. Like I think we offboard about 25% of people in the first 3 months because they need to be monitored. And if you're not, got a recording on their screen, they're going to be doing whatever the heck they want, which we don't do, because I think to myself, if I have no trust, I've got to trust first. So it's deliberate, I guess, is the answer. It's deliberate, and we set out to do that because um, I really know my limitations. Like I know I'm not good at technology. I know that I know I'm not good at a whole heap of things. And so I don't even know how to do their job, or even could even start knowing how. So I have to not, like, I'm
That's
not
so
able to do that.
surprising because I've
Huh?
heard you talk. That's really surprising to hear you say you're not good at technology because I've heard you talk on AI, and I've heard you
Uh,
create things and seen you create things in that space to help other businesses leverage their time through artificial intelligence and various other things. So, yeah, I'm surprised to hear you say that. But I guess what you're talking about is the fact that you're working with other people and bringing their expertise to a new audience, to your audience. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like when I did the AI stuff, I messaged my team. I'm like, hey guys, I've got this awesome idea. Who can help? Like, how does this stuff work? Can you help me figure this out? Can you help me figure this out? And then I'm like, look what we did. This is it. And then we figure it out together. And then you create the recipe, and then anyone can follow it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm very much um yeah, I'm really not good at a lot of stuff. Like I don't like spreadsheets. I don't like there's so many things that I know I'm not good at. And so because of that limitation, I have to delegate. I've got no
Mhm.
choice. It's not something that I can do.
Mm, mm. You've also been really successful with ClickFunnels, and I think this is maybe the back end of your business is the fact that you've leveraged the internet so well. You've learned
Mm,
from Russell Brunson directly. You've been,
mm.
when did you get into all of that?
Yeah, yeah, Russell's amazing, and ClickFunnels has been a huge part. We were in the first 100 to ever sign up to ClickFunnels. We were right at the beginning of his journey too, which is fun to be able to say. So we're about to cross our 10 years using that software. And yeah, we've had all the awards, the $25 million award through a funnel, $10 million. We've got multiple $1 million awards through an online funnel. How I got started, right when I met, both of our coaches, William, is I actually met William while I was at learning how to become public speaker.
Oh,
And that's how I met him in 2010. And we
what
sat
was
next to
in
each
the
other and just had a
audience?
laugh.
I can't
Pardon?
imagine William being in the audience of anything.
Oh, it was hilarious. Me and him are sitting next to each other, and we're at this, the speaker, how to be a speaker, and we were just vibing. So we've never really been any other relationship. They're just buddies, and then so he's amazing. But I went and started a seminar business in 2011, and it was through that I realized, okay, how do I get people to come to the seminar? And I invested in multiple programs and multiple things. And then do you know what I realized? I realized that everyone gets so caught up in the technology. However, the key thing is structural tension. And I was teaching structural tension and how to use structure and tension to get people to enroll. Because here's what I realized, right? If you look at all funnels, and I've made hundreds of millions of dollars online, they're all like the funnel without a really good presentation is like a Ferrari without an engine. They look good, they look fancy, but they don't get you anywhere. So what I
Mhm.
realized is I can pay someone else to do the tech. I don't even know how to log into ClickFunnels, right? I've never been in there. I do not go there. What I know is what matters is the message on the front. And if I can help people understand the problem of their current situation, the vision of their desired reality, and create that tension, and then place what I do as the bridge to get from where they are to where they want to be, then it's obvious that they take action. So I realized that there's always going to be enough people to do that. The true value is in the marketing message and how
Mhm.
to influence people. And I realized that everything that I do in coaching, and everything that I understand around consciousness is what you must do with your marketing message. It's all identity. It's all transforming them through identity. It's helping them understand they're in one identity. And the main reason they don't have what they want is because of the way that they are orienting to that.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. And so anyway, how I got into it was like every business owner, but how I became successful as it on it was I didn't do what others were doing. Everyone else tried to figure out how. And I just go, I've got a who for that. I got someone else. So I'm going to pay someone else to do that. I'm going to do the thing that matters. What's the message? And then the same with Facebook ads. Like we spend about $8 million a year on Facebook ads, yet I don't know how to do a Facebook ad. I don't know how to log into a Facebook ad. We
Mhm.
spend about $6 million running ads on Google every year. So in
Mm.
total, I'm spending like 14 million bucks a year on advertising, but I don't know how to log in. Yet I'm the one on every video that writes every message because I understand the more important thing, which is the, how to create structural tension in an audience. So I don't even know if that's what you asked, but that's how I answered it. I just got started like everyone else.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, we can get very caught up in the running of the business and doing it all ourselves. This is the thing that, and
Yeah.
trying to control it all, trying to control the people who are in it, trying to control the delivery of a certain thing. And what you've mastered is the outsourcing of your entire business, which I really admire and I really appreciate because actually what you deal with behind the scenes isn't it's not a walk in the park. It's not like you're totally hands off and you never pay any attention to your business. It's that you're leveraging it in a very different way.
Mm.
So there's this thing that you also say, money is a measurement of value exchanged. It's not energy,
Right.
which I mean, I don't want to get into that argument, but what I really like is the way you hone it down to the value exchanged.
Well, the key is that we can make it something more than it is, and it's simply just a way humans have measured value. That's what it is. And so people make it out to be this big thing, and so we make tens of millions of dollars a year in our business. So what? All that is measuring how much value I've given to other people in a way they want to pay for it. It doesn't make me any more valuable or anything. It's just simply a measurement. And I got some really good coaching from the self-made billionaire in 2016 because I was making money, everything. I was making it, if I had it, I'm going to be different. And it's all about energy. And it's this, and money's a spiritual thing. Rubbish. And I just went this, and he just said to me, it's rubbish. It's just, otherwise people wouldn't make money as a selling, digging up oil, or, they wouldn't make it a
Guns
non,
and bombs and
right?
name
If
it.
it
Yeah.
was, you don't have to be a certain way, it's not personal. And so, he really explained that to me, is that people put all this power in money, like they worship money, like it's like it gives them a better life, they think, and all of this stuff. And he said it doesn't. It's just a measurement, and in fact, you can go get it easily. Like it's not a big deal. It's simply a measurement. It doesn't. And I really, when I was able to make it just this artificial, which it actually is, an artificial thing that measures something, I was able to go, okay, great. So I would like to have lots of this unit of choice. I would prefer that. That would be a fun game to play. Why not? And then I was like, okay, so how does is it created? And as you said, it's through value. It's like it's value. It's value in a way that people want to pay. So I asked a different question, which was not how can I be more valuable, not how can I add energy to other. I asked questions. Well, what do people want to pay for? And,
Mm.
and the obvious answer was digital marketing. And then I realized that many people couldn't afford digital marketing services. So I created a digital marketing school. And it was honestly, it was such a simple idea, right? Like simple. This is the simplest idea. I'll explain it to everyone in a minute. The simple idea was this: is that instead of paying tens of thousands of dollars to have a marketing agency do it all for you, and you don't know any of the skills, just pay us $500 a month or 5,000 for the whole year, and you will learn how to do it all, and you can teach it to as many people in your team as possible, and you'll just learn it. So
Mm.
simple. That was the whole thing. That was the whole premise, and that became made tens of millions of dollars, and then I sold it, right? But before that, do you see what I mean? Before that, I didn't understand that money's just measuring something, and I got all this misguided ideas from, honestly, from people who didn't have 2 cents to rub together.
Mm.
They would say, "Oh, you got to feel abundant. You got to feel this. You got to feel this way," and I would teach others that too, and I felt so guilty. I had to go delete all these things. I was like, "Oh gosh, it's so wrong." I was
So
like,
that leads to a question because I know William is hot on, being in the emotion of the true end result.
mm.
Isn't that quite similar to feeling in it?
Say again, sorry.
Isn't that quite similar to feeling it? You know, what you were saying is you got to feel abundant. And I'm going, okay, so in our structure, it's kind of like being in the emotion of the true end result.
Yeah, thank you. So listeners, think of something you've already created, right? You've already created like your home or your, car or your relationship, and notice how you feel. And when you're in the end result of it, you feel like you don't feel this different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the misguided thing. It's, oh, but this new thing that I'm going to get, I'm going to feel a different way. No, actually, that's the that's you romanticizing how it's going to be. It
Mm,
doesn't work
great
like that.
distinction.
If you're in the end result, it feels
Mm,
like, you and I are on a podcast. It feels like this. This is how it feels. It doesn't, see what I'm saying? So that the point was you must be in the end result of it, which is actually, if people are going, oh, I feel amazing, I'm going to feel excited, I'm going to feel blessed, they get back to their day. They're not in the end result, they're in fantasy land. So you can still be, in this state of neutrality and create whatever you like. And
mm,
so obviously it comes from Robert Fritz's work. It is this idea that, you can create what you like just the way you are. And then I got just led down the wrong path when it came to wealth, and I got taught by people sitting in a retreat in Bali, Indonesia, that you got to feel abundant and spiritual, and there's money codes, and you got to say silly things like I love money and money loves me, and you got to do all these different things, and it's going to be so great when you have it all. But actually, they're full of it because they're broke. And that's why they're living in Bali, because they can't freaking afford anything. And they're not in reality at all, because you see people who aren't, in their heart, and their self-worth doesn't equal their net worth. And you see all these rich, and you're like, wait a second, look at all of these people that have tons of money. They're not like that. And
mm,
so I had to just relearn everything that I thought about money. And one of the things I do on all my sessions, I actually like screenshot and show people, like, my bank account, and show them like money and my Lamborghini and my house with my tennis court. I'm like, look, no, this is it. And you have to just realize that money is a measurement. It measures value. And maybe someone told us something else, and they were doing it with their truest intention to help and serve, but they're wrong.
mm,
At the highest level, it just measures. And you look at someone like Warren Buffett, right? If listeners don't know who Warren Buffett is, Google him. He's made a lot of money, a lot more than me. I think he's second or third richest person on the planet, right? And it just nuts when it comes to money making. Yet he drives the same car, goes to McDonald's every single day, lives in the same house he bought in the 1960s, doesn't spend, he only pays himself $100,000 a year, doesn't pay himself anymore, even though he has literally billions. And he seems like a cheerful, happy guy, but he's not out there doing inner work and blah, 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 all of these things that we get told. And same with Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, or these people that they understand that it's just measuring the value that they're giving to the world. And that's,
mm.
I'm pretty passionate about it.
And you've also well, you are the best-selling author of, I think, three books, if I've got that right.
Yeah.
Is it three? So there's more value that you're giving. And from that, I suppose this is where you've created your publishing company, or are about to create your publishing company. So you've also done such a deep dive, not just on the marketing side of a business and the digital side of a business and bringing value to people that way, but also in helping authors publish. And I'm really interested about this because I have a manuscript sitting there waiting
Amazing.
for editing, and I've gone through, you know, having meetings with countless editors, but they can only edit it. They can't necessarily get it into the market for me, or
Mm.
there's a few other places that I've looked where they can kind of help me on both sides. Tell me a little bit about your publishing company, your approach. What's different to something like your approach with to Ingrid Sparks, if you know who they are.
Yeah,
Um,
we use Ingram Sparks as
yeah.
a tool to get all of the books out. So I wrote the book "You're Not Broken" in 2020, 5 Steps to Become Super Conscious, Activate Your Magic. And I had the opportunity to take a bunch of money to do it, or to publish it myself. So I created Duncan Publishing and took a photo of my beagle. That's my beagle as the logo. And so I created that on the advice of William, who said he was being very frustrated that he took the money to have someone else publish it, and then every time that he wanted to give a book away, he saw us to go spend the $15 at cost to buy it off them, and he couldn't do any promotions or anything else. And so I decided not to take the money. I was offered 200 something thousand. Then the next one, they offered me like $300,000 to be a part of it, and it's just not worth it. So I actually created my own label back then and went through the process of setting myself up as a publishing company just for my own books. And that was great. The books went really well. Obviously, we market them extremely well. New York Times bestseller, blah blah blah. So that was the backstory. And then I wrote the second book, The Superconscious Path, and then I don't have the third one here, which is Superconscious Superpower. And so I wrote them, and I'm sitting in Safari with William last year. I feel like we're talking about him a lot today. And we finally get back to Wi-Fi. So we're in the wilds of Africa doing this soul safari retreat experience. It was fabulous. And my phone starts going crazy. And one of the text messages on my phone is because they're putting this book here onto Amazon, and they realize there's like 70 something thousand dollars sitting there not paid out because I hadn't updated my tax code since January. So I realized that just on Amazon, the book You're Not Broken, it made 70,000. That doesn't include all the other things it's doing, right? So
Wow.
it was also doing, yeah, and that was just in 9 months.
But hold on a minute. You must have been doing something behind the scenes, hey?
No,
No.
well, I mean, I'm out there. I'm on podcasts.
Okay.
I'm on things like this, and people. So it made that much money. Plus, there was audiobook sales that were not counted. Plus, there's my own sales. Plus, people go into a bookstore and buy it, and all these other things. So there was just a $70,000 residual. And I'm like showing my wife, like I'm like, we just made 70 grand USD, which for us is like 120. I was like, look at this, amazing! This is so cool, So I'm quickly putting in my tax ID to get the payout. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, do you know what? I actually think that anyone who writes a book, that it's probably the best thing that anyone can do, because one, it clarifies you. Sorry, the people that want to have an online business, it has to be the best thing to do, because the first thing, it clarifies your idea, clarifies your hero story, clarifies who you are, clarifies how you help someone. Second, people buy books just based on the cover. So you can make money even if the insight's not that great and get some feedback, and so that's okay. But definitely you can make money straight away and people know who you are. Three, you can turn it into an audio book. Four, the book turns into an online course, right? So you can take the same book, make it an online course. Five, it gets you on podcasts like this because people want to know about your book.
Mm.
And then there's ebooks. And so I was like, this is amazing. So I reached out to the people who helped me. And I was like, look, I've got all these people. I want to do this thing. Can we set up a partnership, everything else? And I was like, what? When they told me how much they wanted to charge people to do a manuscript and everything, it was $36,000 USD just to get your manuscript ready, and then another 22,000 to do it and publish it and everything else. And I was like, this cannot be. Why does it cost this much? Like, they're doing the most of the writing. You're just editing and everything else. So I started investigating AI and asking all these questions. And then I realized that then they were charging additional for audiobooks. Honestly, it was about 70,000 bucks all up to do what. And it was like, it wasn't just one, everyone's saying it. And I was like, screw that. I reckon I can do this way cheaper, way easier. So so we created a publishing company, and the first step is a coaching program. So
Mhm.
there's a coaching program. It's about $5,000, and we work with people and we coach them. They write the book. We give them structure. We give them feedback. It's group setting. They take 6 months and they finish their first book, and that's
Mhm.
way better than everything. So they get their manuscript finished. Then we've got the editing services, everything else to get the manuscript ready. And we've got that mainly, we show them how to do it, or they use AI. And that's about another 5,000 bucks in total. And then we show them how to do it for free to publish through Amazon and everywhere else, or we've got a service that can do it all for them. And so instead of the 70, we've got it down to like 15 total for a full book in bookstores, everything else from zero right through. And so I just realized that I have a better, it's cheaper, it's faster, it's better, it's more empowering. Once they can either have us help them do it or they can do it all themselves. And so it just was like this obvious place in the market to help people write their story. And I just reckon, we've got quite a few people publishing books right now. So we did a soft launch. We had about 100 people join the program. People are launching every day. I get a text message of a book that I need to buy to help someone get their message out there. And the amount of people that say, this is the first money I've ever made online, it's massive. It's
Wow.
massive because they make their first sale. And the external thing that I didn't realize would happen is that they're happy to make the money, write their book. That feels good, right? But their new sense of confidence when they have a book out there and when their kids or their grandkids or their friends read their book, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't the money, blah blah blah. When they know that I'm getting chills. When their best stuff is getting read by their grandkids or great grandkids, when they know that for forever
Mm.
their thoughts are there for anyone who wants to go and understand what they thought and what they believe, that they couldn't care less about the money. Like, the money's great, they make 5 grand, 10 grand, but the fact that their best thoughts are out there, that's meaningful.
Hmm. So besides this, are you helping other people with the structure in their business in terms of growing and scaling a business that where you can be hands off in your business?
Am I helping them too?
Yeah. If you're helping people with publishing, is that another side to something that you're looking at? Helping people learn how to scale and take their hands out of their business. It's a bit like E-Myth. Michael Gerber wrote that
Yeah,
book,
they
the
need to
E-Myth.
write OMIT. They need to write OMIT. E-myth is the entrepreneurial myth, but the O myth is the next step, is where you actually own it. You're above the business. Look, I'm actually not doing anything in that end result currently, and the reason is most people that I know, they actually need to get their money sorted first. Most
Mm,
people don't have the ability to hire the staff they need to hire. It's a real interesting, like, Matthew effect. It kind of goes in like a Fibonacci thing where you need to get enough money for yourself.
mhm,
Then you need to get enough money for your first good employee, and then it starts to go. There's this idea that 100 grand is a worthwhile accomplishment in business, and I don't like to diminish people's achievements, but it doesn't. 100 grand sucks. 200 grand sucks. 300 grand sucks. About 400,000, you can start actually enjoying it. And I really mean that with all love. I'm not trying to. It was really difficult to make my first those things, but the problem is if you make 100 and then you've got to spend on advertising and tools and tech, you're going to be at 30. If you make 200, you've got enough to pay yourself 60,000 and you're doing a lot of stuff. At 300, you can get maybe a salesperson and one assistant, like, because again, there's a percentage of ads and everything else. It's 400. In my opinion, it's not until 400 that you can actually go and pay someone else 100 grand, who's a talented person who can actually start to go. So it's like it's getting yourself a foot. So the reason why I'm not really in this, it's out of 31 million business in the United States, 16.9 million are under 30,000.
mhm,
Then 6 million are on top of that are under 100. So out of 31, it's like 22 million haven't even made six figures.
mhm.
And so there's just not, people need to make the money first, and then the freedom happens. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm really trying to tackle that first problem, which is to get the money so then you can go and hire the people that you need to hire.
And
Yeah.
that comes back to the choice point and the fact that when we make that choice, every obstacle under the sun comes up to face us, right? It's that classic, what's unconscious in us starts to really push back on us. It's
Yeah.
the, you know, and that's when either we fall back in line with what's unconscious and we accept it, or we find a way through that. We find a way through all of that noise because it's loud, it feels awful. You know, it's how would you describe that moment when you choose something bigger than yourself? You choose something bigger than your current reality.
Yeah. It's a good moment, that's for sure. And it's absolutely terrifying to the unconscious that wants to keep everything the same. You know,
Mhm.
we have
Mhm.
this cosmic joke, I guess, where there's one part of us that's based in fear and another part of us based in love. And the part of us that's based in love is the latest addition to our brain. The part of us based in fear is millions of years old. And so whenever we go for something that we would love, this other part of us goes, hey, we've never done that before, and kicks up a smokescreen of thoughts and feelings. And it is so easy to be an unconscious creator and let that unconscious smokescreen of thoughts and feelings convince you who you are.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. And so that moment, that jump, it's more of a series of moments because you make the decision, and actually making the decision at the beginning, at the germination stage of a creation. I mean, it's a little bit easy when it's all ideas, but then there's going to be the jump when you got to quit your job, and then the jump when you got to, and then the jump, and then so it's more of a series of it. And so the only way that I've seen for people to let go of who they've been and create a new future is to commit to doing their choices every day. And every day, without fail, they reorient themselves and who they are, remind themselves, yes, they do have an unconscious, and yes, it is going to tell them how they can't do it, but they also have a superconscious, and which one they give the power to determines how their life will show up. So how would I describe it? As a prolonged series of moves, but that's what creation is all about. It's not something. If we give it too much meaning, we end up being in a different reality. Like if it means that if uncomfortable feelings mean that we shouldn't, that it's the meaning. Because the truth is, oh yeah, it feels uncomfortable, but why does it feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, yeah. It's the tension of everything
Yeah,
that we fear that comes up in our face, right? It's the and
yeah,
what we make that mean. Absolutely.
yeah,
Um, so you for this specific purpose, you have magnetic mind, you have conscious education, which takes people through trainings so that they
yeah,
can be in incubator with type environments with you, with your
yeah,
people. What is the range? Like, can people do 6 weeks with you? Like, where do they start if they're interested in
yeah.
getting a handle on what's coming up for them and what's going on? Hmm.
Yeah. So the first place is we give people a free 5-day challenge, and it's called the 5-day superconscious upgrade, and it's free. And anyone can come and join that 5 days. In that 5 days, you'll learn about structure. You'll learn about the recode process, which is what Colette taught me, how to connect to the superconscious and forget your past. You'll learn about quantum jumping. You'll learn how to reorient yourself. You'll learn about money. I've talked a little bit about that today. And you learn how to create health miracles. And so that's the starting point. From there, we have Magnetic Mind, which is how to make your mind a magnet, which is a beautiful program, and that's week by week. People can join as long as they want. Then we have our certification, so we certify and teach people. Part of our certification is that we actually give everyone all of our marketing as well. So it's a business in a box. Then we have advanced courses. We have Superconscious Intuition, which is a really, really, really cool process based on what I was taught from a lady named Simone Wright, who does intuition
Yeah.
for LAPD.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's incredible.
Yeah, incredible. The author of First Intelligence, right?
Yeah, yeah, she's amazing. So I did tons of one-on-one with her. She's awesome. And then we have How to Manifest Anything course, the creator course. I have an inner circle and private coaching myself as well. We have an entrepreneur course. We have the high profit book course. We have amplified speak from and sell from stage course. We have a webinar program. We've got lots and lots. But people, anyone listening and wants to come experience it, just go see the free 5 days. It's free for everyone, and it's our way of giving back, and we create huge shifts in a week for you. And then if you want more, you can.
All right, super. And I will put the links in the show notes to those details. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thanks so
Thanks.
much, Chris. I wish you a excellent rest of your day. It's got to be what, eight, coming up for 8:30 in the morning over there,
Yeah.
11:30 almost here in London. So, yeah.
We made it happen.
Yeah, we made it happen. It's been brilliant. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it and subscribe to the podcast. If you would love to reach out to my guest or myself, visit the show notes where you'll find all our contact information. Thank you so much for listening.